So, hi and welcome to the Firefly Adda, your virtual conversation starter, a platform which showcases different thought leaders from different walks of life. Today, we'll be discussing something interesting, something that most of us do not practice, the idea of self love and manifestation. And to take us through these discussion points, we have with us Komal Golecha, who is our manifestation expert. So, hi, Komal, and welcome to the Firefly Adda.
Hi, Kushagra. Thank you so much for having me here. It's a pleasure to be on this wonderful platform and speak to such wonderful people around. Thank you so much.
So, like I said, this is one topic which people generally don't practice. They are pretty harsh on themselves and don't really necessarily understand the art of, self-love and manifestation. So, I think it's a very, very important and a very relevant topic, especially during these times, the pandemic actually hitting us, and people actually are very anxious or maybe depressed also, for reasons that we all know. So I think it's becomes all the more relevant and important to actually talk about the aspects of self-love and manifestation. Don't you think so?
Very true, Kushagra. This pandemic has hit us so badly that everywhere we see, every time we switch on the news, the one thing we're constantly hearing is the fear of illness, the fear of death, the fear of staying apart from our loved ones, and the thing which is affecting us right now even more is we already have backlogs of self-doubt and insecurity within us, and this pandemic is just bringing everything to the surface. It's making us, even during the lockdown, I
Yeah.
think we spend so much of time with ourselves that whether we want it or we don't want it, it came to the surface. We had to look at ourselves, and we started figuring out areas and gaps within ourselves where we are not able to link. And we could see that, okay, I'm not comfortable in certain areas of my life, or there are certain things about me which are itching me, which are bothering me. So I think this lockdown was a phase where everyone somewhere had to look at themselves and try to measure their level of self love.
No, absolutely. So let's begin with the basics first of all. So at least, I mean, I do understand self-love at a very superficial level, but if you were to define what self-love really is and why is it actually important to, sort of cultivate it. So maybe if you could maybe start off from there and then maybe drill down on, points around self-love. So that would be a good starting point.
So I think, in a very basic layman's language, self-love is all about, realizing the masks we are wearing, and these masks could be due to, conditioning which we've been grown up with as children. Like when we are born, we are abundant, we are filled with abundance of love, and we love our own feces also. There's nothing, we would look at it and start laughing.
Yeah.
But over a period of time, there's so much of conditioning which has happened that, you don't do this, you don't behave like that, you don't look like that. When you're in social settings, we have certain things which have been grilled into our head. So coming from there, uh, we've started putting on a lot of masks just to become acceptable in the society, to be able to get that pat on our back from our elders saying that yes, you're doing a good job. So coming from there are layers and layers and layers of masks which we are wearing. So I think, in a very layman's language, self-love is recognizing the masks you're wearing and having the courage to peel them off and look within, and identify your strengths as well as live with your areas of improvement. It's not about beating yourself and कि मेरे को ये बनना है, and I take myself and be so rigid on myself that I don't give myself time to breathe, to rest, and to relax. So it's just about looking at yourself in mirror and recognizing कि हाँ, this is me with all this mess, all this shit. This is me, and I own myself, and I occupy space. I'm living, I'm breathing, and therefore I exist and I matter.
Wow. That's a very profound definition, and thank you so much for that. So, you did speak about cultivating this habit of self-love, and us wearing different masks. So it's the whole aspect of unlayering us and understanding us, from a deeper perspective would actually bring out this attribute of self-love, is what I would assume. So is that the right idea, that it's about unlayering ourselves and maybe looking a little deeper than what we really do? Is that the right idea?
Yes, definitely. Like, there's a very simple theory I would like to share.
Mm-hmm.
We call it the brown water theory. So, when I used to interact with children in my previous workplace, this was
Mm-hmm.
something just came out of the blue. So, when you open a tap after a very long time,
Mm-hmm.
initially, kya aata hai? It's the muddy water which
Yeah.
comes out.
Yeah.
Is mainly because the pipe has so much of dirt and rust collected within that whenever you open the water tap, whether it is today, after 5 years, after 10 years, 15 years, 50 years, the first chunk of water which flows out is brown
Yeah.
and it's muddy. But I think you have to let that water, excuse me, flow out for a long period of time, and that's when clear water starts flowing.
Yeah.
So the first chunk of water which flows out is very brown and muddy.
Uh-huh.
And you have to let the water flow for quite some period of time for you to get clean, good water.
Yeah.
I think our personalities and our relationship with ourselves is exactly the same. When we make the decision for the first time to get in touch with ourselves, to unlayer these masks, we are going to face a lot of dirty aspects. We may not feel comfortable, we may not feel good enough, and it's not like मैंने mirror में देखा and wow, I fell in love with myself. There are going to be times when you will dislike yourself, where you will not feel like we have an idea in our heads that this is how I want to be, and I may not find myself there. So I have to let my tap open. I have to let the water flow, the brown water flow, and eventually, over a period of time, the clean water starts flowing. I think this is the best metaphor I could link to help our viewers understand the process of self-love.
Fantastic. From a practices perspective, and how to actually build self-love. So, is there some sort of a prescription or a framework, which can actually bring in that aspect of self-love, or are there any tangible ways to practice self-love in any way?
Definitely. It's just like a muscle. The more you work it and flex it, the more you're going to build it.
Yeah.
So I could point a few out. The first one being mirror work. Like it is very powerful. We cannot undermine the powerful effects of mirror work. So every time we make up, I think the first minutes, the few minutes of the day we spend, like when we're brushing or when we're taking a shower, we tend to look at ourselves in the mirror. So just stand there, and I think a lot of us do face difficulties in looking at our own eyes in the mirror. Like
Yeah.
somewhere there's some kind of a discomfort, and looking at your eyes, if you had to say I love you to yourself in front of the mirror, just observe how much of discomfort do you feel. Does it flow easy to you? Is it thoda difficult? Kaisa hai? So that's one practice we could do. As soon as you get up in the morning, when you're brushing, the few minutes that you're spending in the washroom, spend it with yourself. Look at yourself in the mirror, say wow, I'm so happy that I'm alive today, and I just love the way your hair looks, I love the way your eyes look. Thank you so much for going through. If you've had a tough day in the previous day, thank you so much for going through that and holding up, and so glad that we are together. Just build a kind of a loving relationship with yourself, like you would with your partner or with your friend. Talk to yourself with love. That could be one way. Another way, I think one of the most important thing is to stop MMS.
Yeah.
Like by MMS, I mean mind made stories.
Yeah.
Um, Constant chatter in our head, like we have a monkey mind. So there's constant things going in our head saying that, you are this, you're that, you're this, you're that. You would have done this, you shouldn't have done this. Look, if you would have goofed up in a meeting, look, what did you do? So I think these things, these sentences, either come from our elders, whom we've heard in our childhood, or our bosses, our friends, or maybe we've seen certain things in movies and TV commercials on how a perfect girl or a boy or a husband or a wife should be, and we have those expectations on ourselves, even though they are not our true nature or our true selves. So
Yeah.
these mind-made stories, somewhere we'll have to stop. That's one very important step in doing. It's like just we imagine a small kid, and imagine an elder standing on top of him. From the kid's perspective, you have like a very huge face looking down at you and saying, no, don't do this. So
Yeah.
that imprints in your head, and whatever that thing could have been, whether you've broken something or you've spilled something, it gets into your head saying that मैंने ये किया, so I'm not lovable, or I told this, so I'm not lovable. And it starts with that tiny seed of that thought, and it grows and develops and builds insecurities, and everywhere you start linking that, okay, I'm not lovable because of this, I'm not lovable because of that. So one short way is to be conscious of stopping these mind-made stories which constantly play on a pre-recorded note in our head. A third way could be journaling. The act of journaling, the act of putting pen to paper, the power it holds is indescribable. Just sit with yourself and write down your thoughts. Kind of observe and analyze the language you're using to address yourself, and you will realize that we are very harsh on ourselves. I don't think we would use such words to kids or with our partners or with our friends ever. We are more mindful in talking to others than
Hmm.
we are mindful in talking to ourselves. So when we put pen to paper, like a lot of people, when I have told them these tips, they say that journaling, why should I do that? I can just keep thinking in my head. But as I said, our mind is like a monkey. You start with one topic and it'll jump to something else and you won't even realize.
Yeah.
So when you put pen to paper, one, you're very focused, you're writing about a certain topic, and you explore yourself better, and you can also make note of the kind of language you're using to yourself. Another way I think is very powerful is gratitude.
Hmm.
uh, Make a gratitude journal. Start writing 5 things, or start off with 10 things you're grateful for. It could be like in this pandemic, just being healthy and safe at home is a very big blessing
Yeah.
in this time. So maybe start off with that. And there are many like, you would have faced fear in a meeting, or you would have a lot of people have fear of public speaking, so going on stage, and maybe you've done that for the first time. You don't compare yourself with someone who's a public speaker, but the fact that you've never done it and you were in fear of it and you overcame it and you stood there and did it, that is something to be grateful for, that you had the courage to do it. So like, gratitude is also like a muscle. When you start writing initially, it may just be for the basic things like food, shelter, clothing, or I'm happy that I have a house to live in or something. But over a period of time, when you're practicing gratitude, you will start noticing these finer nuances. You will start feeling gratitude for simple things that you wouldn't even have thought of. So that is one way of doing. And what else can I think of? Yes, there's one cleansing ritual which we could follow, where when we take bath, water is like the exhaler of life. It's constantly flowing, and the nature of water is something which I feel all of us should imbibe. Constantly moving, and it's one of the most softest material or softest element of earth, but it has the capacity to break rocks and go under it, and it can make its own way where there's no path. So when you're taking bath and you're in touch with water, maybe the last few jugs you're using, or maybe if you're under the shower, the last few minutes you're under the shower, just hold the intention, saying that may this nature of water flow through me and become a part of me. And as this water is trickling down my skin and touching my spine, may all my negative stagnant energy, my toxic thoughts, my toxic relationship with people just cleanse, and may I be filled with renewed energy, with even more zeal to do my work and to live my purpose. So this may sound little, I would say, fantasy kind, but trust me, it works wonders. The power of intention is so strong that even if like water has memory, even if you take a glass of water and say you're trying to battle from self love, every time you take water in your hand, just say that the as this water I'm drinking, this water is charged with my love for myself, my love and respect for my body and for who I am. And when you drink that water goes through every cell of your being, and it enters into your plasma as well. It is carrying that message and that vibration and that intention to every cell of your being. And over a period of time, you'll notice the difference in the way you're vibrating. You'll notice the difference in the way you're relating to others and to yourself.
Wow, fantastic and very profound. Loved the principles that you actually brought out, and there are a couple of things that I actually follow, and I've actually learned a couple of new things as well. I'm pretty sure I'm actually going to put those to practice and see what really comes out. Thank you so much for that. Now, what I actually believe is, self-love is exactly like a journey, right? And I believe that self-love is the truest form of love. That's the best love, which is actually, sort of possible and available. So, what are your thoughts around that?
Definitely, because I think we are able to meet someone only at the level at which we've met ourselves.
Yeah.
I will repeat it because it is so important. We are only able to meet others at a level in which we've met ourselves. So look at any relationship around you. If you're having issues with it, if you're having troubles with it, pause yourself there and look at your own self. Look at your own relationship with yourself. Somewhere there is something which is shallow and lacking over there. And that is why you are not able to go that deep in other relationships of yours. So if you're truly looking for true love, then I think it starts with yourself.
And do you think self-love leads to self-acceptance and improving self-esteem, or is there any difference between self-love and self-esteem?
Definitely, like yes, there is a slight difference between self-love and self-esteem. Self-esteem could be in parts of your life. Like if I'm a very good cook, right? So I may have the confidence in myself that okay, I cook well. So my self-esteem in those areas of my life may be high. Versus if I'm not good at public speaking, and I may have a low confidence in that, my self-esteem in speaking and connecting with people may be low. So self-esteem is very relative to certain parts of your life. I think self-esteem is closely linked to your strengths.
Yeah.
जो भी your strengths are there, you have high self-esteem in it. On the contrary, self-love is very holistic. It's not just about your strengths, but it is taking into consideration your weaknesses, your crack points, and it's like a mixture of whole. It's like bringing everything together, keeping it in front of you on a platter, and saying that everything, whether it is khatta, meeta, tika, everything is me, and I accept this entire thing. So their self acceptance comes. So self esteem could be high and low in certain areas of your life, but self acceptance comes with complete self love.
Great. Now, so where does one draw a line between self-love and being a narcissist? Because this is very important, because it shouldn't be a case where you go on to a level of self-obsession, right? So self-love has to be there, but at some level. So how do you define that, and how do you actually curtail yourself from being a narcissist?
I think a narcissist is someone who I think cuts off the intelligence and the divine within others. So self love is, yes, accepting myself and loving myself irrespective of my flaws and putting myself out there with everything. That's self love. But the moment I cross the boundary of taking self love as a reason of being able to step down on others, or crack their shells, or not being sensitive to the needs of others, that's when I turn to become a narcissist. So narcissist is yes, in the mind of a narcissist, I am good, I am the best, you are nothing. That's a
Yeah.
narcissist, where I am not bothered about what the other person is feeling, what the other person is going through. All me, I am the center of everything, and everyone revolves around me. That is a narcissist. But self-love, a healthy level of self-love, is where I am able to accept that I may have flaws and I'm trying to work on them, as well as my partner may also have flaws, and even he's trying to work on it. My friend may also have a flaw and she's trying to work on it. Bringing all of them in the realm of acceptance is a healthy level of self-love.
Absolutely. So we want to sort of understand, from a journey perspective, right? So there are a lot of people who are deprived of love, right? And that becomes like raising a flag. So how does one actually work on themselves, when they actually encounter so many resistances, so many issues when it actually comes to being deprived of, love from others? So how does one sort of ignite the idea of passionately loving themselves?
So I think you start with figuring out, like, if you're feeling lonely, depressed, and left out. That's where it triggers like a red flag, saying that I have no one to share things with, and I don't feel comfortable enough to open myself vulnerably. So that brings a red flag, saying that somewhere you are deprived of love in your relationships, because that's why you're not feeling safe enough to open up. So you pick a clue from that, and you first try to look within. So everything which is happening with us in our lives is I would say, a response to the vibration we are vibrating at. So if I am constantly vibrating at self hate, I
Mhm.
am attracting those kind of vibrations from the relationships around me.
Yeah.
So if if I have to start working on bettering my relationships, I have to first start working on bettering my relationship with my own self. That's when the vibration I'm vibrating at shifts, changes, and that will automatically change the vibrations with my other relationships. It is a law of nature. Like, if there is heat somewhere, whether I touch it, a child touches, an African touches, an Indian touches, an animal touches, anybody who touches the fire is going to get burnt, because that is the nature of fire. Whoever goes close to it is going to get burnt. The same way, the vibrations which we vibrate at, like every thought we think has a vibration and attracts, it's like a magnet, it attracts like
Mhm.
vibrations towards it. So the moment we choose and we notice that theek hai, mere life mein self love is not at a level which I would want it to be, and I take a hold of that, I take a conscious decision to work on that area of my life, and I start vibrating with more self acceptance, and I start bringing in practices and small tangible ways of building self love. Automatically I will notice that the relationships around me also start improve, and I will start finding true love in people as well.
So great. So just to add on to the same point, staying on the same point, we did speak about depression. That is the foremost, sort of topic that all of us are talking about because of the news about a prominent actor, committing suicide. I think that has actually taken a lot of people, by surprise, and they themselves have sort of, hit the uh, have actually got that shock in a way by looking at what exactly happened to that actor. So we want to sort of understand, so what are the common demons one really needs to shed to go through the path of self awareness, mindfulness, self acceptance, and self love? So is it something related to what you already sort of defined, or is it more to it?
There's one particular demon which I think we all should be ready to face. Like, the moment I decide to work on myself and to make changes in the way I relate to myself, I think that is the internal work which I'm beginning. Now, I may notice certain changes in myself and certain ways in which I am improving, but not necessarily the ones around me will notice it immediately. And not necessarily they are going to take note that, okay, Komal has started shifting her relationship with herself. So, let me be supportive. It's not going to be immediate. It is going to take some, it's like weight loss. You will notice the inches first, and
Yeah.
when it piles up gradually is when people start to take note that, okay, you've shed weight.
Yeah.
So this expectation that what I've noticed with people on this journey is they they start to expect from everyone else around them to be in the same boat they are sailing in, which is not the case. Because I think this is more of a very personal journey, and when you
Hmm.
begin it with yourself, others may be aware, may not be aware, but
Yeah.
expecting them to walk with you without them knowing what you're planning to do uh, is, I think, a counter hit on your own head.
Yeah. Now, a very important and a very impromptu sort of a thing, which sort of triggered in my mind right now. So I think most of us are so held up in what we actually do on a day-to-day basis, right? And we very seldom, get people who sort of sit down and listen to what we actually have to say in this, crowded space, in this busy, sort of world that we live in. So how does then, talking to oneself becomes very important, because I don't think there is any other way you can actually reach out to people and, went out or talk to them for hours. So there has to be a mechanism where you actually talk to your own self. So how do you sort of channelize the positivity by, talking to yourself?
Um, there are different ways of doing it. Like I said, mirror work is very, very, very powerful. You could extend this mirror work in talking to yourself like a person in front of the mirror,
Yeah.
and start expressing what you're feeling and what you're going through, and trying to break your experience down in ways you would to your partner or to your friend or to your relative. Or second thing would be journaling. Just write a letter to yourself, like you're having a conversation with someone whom you're trying to tell them what happened or what you went through. uh, I think that is a very beautiful way of letting things out and starting talking to yourself. And there is no replacement for genuine and authentic relationships. We need to step out and find genuine relationships with people who are willing to, devote and spend that kind of time with us. And I think it is there. We may not have like as many relationships as we would have in the past, but in today's day and age, with this much of technology at our disposal, it is even more easier to reach out to people, if not physically, at least virtually, and have conversations, whether it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, that doesn't matter, time doesn't matter. But having deep, reflective conversations is very, very key in ensuring an authentic relationship with yourself and with others.
Some great points there. So let's sort of shift gears and maybe talk about manifestation now. So you are a manifestation expert as well. So in layman terms, what does manifestation exactly mean? So can you maybe shed some light on that?
Manifestation, I think, is a very, very widely used term in today's day and age. It just means that we recognize there are certain forces and certain energies around us which are governing this entire world. And we are getting conscious enough with our intentions to use and channel that energy to bring to reality certain things which we want. So a lot of people could try to manifest physical things, like whether it is a car or a building or a certain career job perspective. That would be one aspect of manifestations. A second thing could be where people are trying to manifest beautiful, loving relationships, whether a partner, a spouse, like becoming parents or with their children. Uh, a few people do use manifestations on the spiritual journey, where they're trying to bring to surface and unleash their psychic abilities and talents. So I think manifestation is just bringing something which doesn't exist to light by using the energies around you.
So I remember this book called The Secret, right? And that is where I actually, understood the word of the meaning rather of the word manifestation. So does it really work? Is what I really want to understand, or maybe the audience would also be keen to sort of understand. Whether is this really a hack for that magical living, and do manifestations really work?
I wouldn't take the liberty to comment on the book The Secret, but definitely there are certain cases and certain points where it has worked. It has given people what they want. It could be physical manifestations of things that they want. I think the entire idea behind Secret was to help people understand that how their thoughts are creating their reality.
Yeah.
Like this, I would take a liberty to go back a little, where when we were in the wild, when we were living in the wild, the Stone Age hunters.
Hmm.
I think we were living in the jungles, in the Amazon forests, and so dense inside that we were constantly fearing to be attacked by wild animals. And that's where our brains were tuned to a negativity bias, where anything which is not in normalcy, anything which is even slightly apart, our brain would register it first as a threat, just to safeguard ourselves and the life of the tribe. And that negativity bias was so sharp and so strong in the human brain, uh, that it left a very deep imprint in our DNAs.
Yeah.
But coming forward today, the advent of technology and industrialization happened so quickly, so fast, that we have adapted to it, but our minds and the imprinted DNA has not got that much of time to evolve,
Hmm.
right? So this negativity bias is still there in us. So that's why you would notice that we as humans catch on to negative news first and start thinking negative first versus thinking that it could be a good outcome. So I think secret was brought into light in helping people realize and help them know that how this negativity bias is actually hampering their lives.
Hmm.
That every time we think negative, every time we are always expecting the worst outcome. This is it. This is going to happen to me. That is going to happen to me. And those expectations, and we were constantly thinking about them, and we devoted so much of time and energy and space to them that somewhere they start to become a reality. So it was just about shifting gears in helping people to move from the negativity bias and develop a more positive outlook to the life. That's why things like, if I'm not aware if people are aware of the ancient manifesting ritual, where people talk about, say, whatever you want, start writing it 55 times for 5 days. And you would start to notice changes, and you would start to notice that, okay, it is slowly coming to reality, slowly coming to truth. So I think the entire idea or the intent behind all these gyan and tactics and tips which go on in the online and in books is to readjust the negativity bias to a very positive mind state. And it needless to be said, whenever you are vibrating from a positive mind state, you are in equilibrium to create the kind of reality you want in your life. And that's where I think the secret actually works.
Great. So that brings me to a question about affirmations, visualizations, and vision boards, as you may call it. So I think these are all derivatives of the same aspects that we actually spoke about. So what do they exactly mean, and how do you sort of unlock the code for affirmations and visualizing your goals and aspirations and positivity around that? And why do most people sort of begin the process and then sort of feel that they are not really getting the desired results? So what exactly is a process to get this all in order?
So I think affirmations, it's the code behind affirmations is very, very primitive, very basic.
Hmm.
Like when we are born with a set of neurons, and over a period of time, as we are learning going through new experiences and learning new things, we are activating those set of neurons. Like for example, the first time you are learning to drive a car,
Yeah.
I don't think it would be as easy as it is today after you've driven for with so much of practice. So the first time you sit on the seat and you're feeling the accelerator, brake clutch, you're feeling the gear, you're feeling the steering wheel in your hand. There is a current which passes through one of your dormant neuron, activating it. Saying that, okay, this person is sitting in the car for the first time and learning to drive. And the first time you experience that skill, some pigment is released around that neuron,
Hmm.
right? And second time you sit, third time you sit, fourth time you sit, that pigment is released over and over and over and forms a coating around your neuron till it becomes like normal for you. Like even if you get up in your sleep, you'll be able to drive a car. Till you reach that level, it takes practice and time for you to come to that. It's just like walking. A child may fall like 1,000 times when he's learning to walk, but once he learns to walk, there's no stopping. Same thing like cooking, same thing like any skill you're trying to learn. The first time you do it, you will shake, you will tremble, and you vibrate. But over a period of time, it becomes next nature. Affirmations is a tool for that. Like anything you're trying to work on yourself, it could be, say, I'll give you my own example. Like I used to be an obese child, and I used to face with a lot of self doubt regarding the way I looked. So
Hmm.
one of the affirmation which I picked on was, I love the way I look at myself. And I kept repeating it, kept repeating it, kept repeating it, looking at the mirror. I wrote it, where on all the walls, and made it like the wallpaper, made that message like affirmation of wallpaper on my phone. And so much that it became a belief.
Yeah.
And when it became a belief, it started to flow into my actions. It started to flow into my actions, and that's when people started to get the message that this woman loves herself the way she is.
Yeah.
So I think affirmation is the seed to bring to track whatever you're trying to work on yourself, or any, because the more number of affirmations you use, that's going to form your belief. And I think all the actions we do stem from our beliefs. So that's the code to using affirmations. And a second thing would be using affirmations in front of the mirror, because when you look at yourself in your eyes and you're repeating that affirmation, subconsciously you're registering it. Subconsciously your mind is registering, and your mind is going to believe whatever you tell it. Whether you tell it the sun rises in the west, your mind is going to believe it. It all depends on the conviction you use. So if you're going to use a particular affirmation with the right amount of conviction, your brain is going to receive it and make it a very strong belief system. And I think you also asked about why people give up halfway
Yeah.
and they feel like they're not getting the results. Because the key to all of this lies in a very, very simple word: surrender. Like, when you start a journey and you are doing all that you can and have to do and feel you should do, you cannot sit and logically calculate the time frame it's going to take. You
Yeah.
may like a bamboo takes 20 years to sprout, whereas a coriander seed would sprout in 2 days. So you never know whether you're a coriander seed or a bamboo seed. So you cannot sit and calculate the time frame for your affirmation to turn to reality. I think we need to surrender and believe in the magic of the universe, and just practice whatever it is that you are wishing for, and try to vibrate at that frequency, and surrender to the outcome. It could be that what you're asking for is not what you need to get. There might be something bigger and better to come your way, and be open to receiving that. Like we can just I was just reading about an article. I was just reading an article in which they said we can just see 1% of the light around us, meaning to say there is 99% light which is not even visible to our naked eye. And imagine the amount of energy and frequencies which are around, which we're not even aware of. So using our limited perception in trying to draw a cemented line on the kind of reality we want is foolishness. Because I think there are bigger and more wider plans the universe has for us, and I think we just need to open ourselves up and saying that, look, I am ready for change, I'm ready for growth, I'm ready for abundance. Take me on that path, and I'm willing to go through it. So if we develop that mindset, I think the universe is more than happy to send its abundance away, because there is so much. There is enough for everybody. It's like oxygen. Do we ever fight for oxygen? That this is my space, this is my oxygen, you cannot breathe it. We
Yeah.
don't, because we know there is enough oxygen for every single living living being on this planet.
Yeah.
It's the same. Everything is available in abundance. It's just about opening yourself to receive it. And another point being that there are two ways of growth.
Hmm.
There are two Japanese words, kensho and satori. Kensho is growth through pain, and satori is growth through awakening.
Hmm.
So some areas of our life we experience kensho, that we have to break down to build up. And in certain areas of our life it is satori, where it's a very happy transformation, it's a very happy change, that gradually you move into a very good zone. And we're going to have a mix of both these in our lives. We don't get to choose. So I think we just need to be open enough to accept what's coming our way, point one. Point two, surrender to the divine intelligence. And number three is work our way with the limited knowledge we have, trying to do our best we can, and accepting things which come our way.
Fantastic. So I think I'm going to, do a little bit of research on those two Japanese words that you actually use. So they actually are sort of fascinating me already. So great. Now let's, jump to your personal life. So, what exactly are you doing these days? I mean, lockdown times. I mean, even though it's like the unlock 1.0 as we actually calling it now. So how is this, really shaping you as a person? What have you been doing, in these past 2 months, and how are things, shaping up for you now?
Oh, for me, lockdown has been beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm like an avid reader, so I've
Yeah.
found a lot of time with all those books. Like I purchased those books and kept, but didn't find time to read them. So it's
Hmm.
been like beautiful with so much of awakening, and I think it's just about using the time we have in a productive manner. I don't think I've spent so much time with my family around, with
Yeah.
everyone being under one roof and having real, authentic, deep conversations. It's brought us closer. And so as I'm a graphic designer, I also like work remotely. So work has also been on the front, and a lot of learning and updating of skills has been happening. So for me, lockdown has been beautiful. It has been very, very productive. I think we had enough time to rest and rejuvenate,
Hmm.
as well as connect and grow. I think everyone had the time to speak this time because no one was occupied in work.
Yeah.
So it was a very lovely time.
So great. So any online workshops or something that you would want to maybe the audience to be aware of, who could really pick up this, subject of self-love and manifestation in any way. So any sort of recommendations around that for a deeper understanding and learning around these topics?
There's one fun movie I would, urge everyone to watch. It's available on Netflix. It's called I Feel Pretty. It's a beautiful movie about a woman, or I would say a lady, who is going through crazy, crazy, crazy self doubt,
Mm.
and something magical happens, and how it kickstarts her journey. I think it's a fun movie, and it drives the message real deep. That's one thing which I would urge everyone to watch, because I don't know if you would want to get into the theoretics of it, but this movie explains this concept in a very fun, neat, clean way.
Got it. So I haven't seen that, so I'll definitely, take a look at that. So thank you for that one. So just a couple of more questions. So what is that one thing that you would want our audience to sort of take away during, these tough and challenging times related to self-love?
Um, Accept yourself
Yeah.
just the way you are. Like you are doing the best you can, and you will continue to do the best you can, and you will grow with every phase of life. Just don't beat yourself down for what you've been doing. All of us are living our own journeys in our own ways. So accept yourself. That's the most prime, most important. Like when you accept yourself and you walk into your room, suddenly there's magic radiating out of you. Suddenly people are in awe of you, because um, all of us are struggling with this simple aspect of accepting ourselves. So when you see someone who's accepted themselves, you automatically are in awe of them.
Yeah.
And I think the world needs more people who accept themselves. So be that ray of light for others.
So would that be a success mantra as well for the audience?
Definitely. There is nothing you cannot achieve in this world when you've accepted yourselves. Because I think that's where even learning comes in. The moment you've accepted that I am not good at something, but I'm not beating myself for it, I'm ready to learn, is when I'm going to be humble enough and learn it with all humility and passion and openness. That's when I'm not going to get offended if my mentor is going to point out and say that, look, Komal, these are the areas you need to work on. I'm going to happily accept it. My ego is going to stay in control when I've accepted myself, because I know that these are my strengths, these are my weaknesses, but because of the weakness, I'm not going to put myself down. So it's going to lead to a holistic balance of your entire personality.
Fantastic, Komal. So some great insights here, some great takeaways. Thank you so much for being a part of the Firefly Adda. I'm pretty sure the audiences will, get all the insights that will actually, take them to the path of self-love and, self-awareness and self-acceptance. Thank you so much. It was, great insights, and thank you again.
Thanks a lot. It was a pleasure being here.
Thank you.